Welcome to Let's Face the Facts, the rewatch podcast for the classic sitcom, The Facts of Life. Join us each week as we synopsize, analyze, criticize, and ultimately idolize the show. And now, here's your host of Let's Face the Facts, the wonderful David Almeida.
Thank you, Matthew Arter. Welcome back to another show, another week. Thank you for downloading and pressing play. I have so much good news this week. I am bursting with excitement. First bit of good news, our guest this week is KEN REID. Ken is, of course, the host of the amazing podcast, TV Guidance Counselor. On very short notice, I was able to grab a hold of him. I thought this would be a really fun episode to have him do because we know from when he was on the show before that he really, really is into the over our heads years. So it was so much fun that we got to talk with him. I got to introduce him to Matthew. The second bit of good news is my friend and former guest of the pod, Dr. Steve Summers, texted me the other night and said, hey, the Roku channel has rotated their offerings again in July, and as of the beginning of this month, Seasons 7, 8, and 9 are available on the Roku channel. And you can get to that with setting up a free account. And if you have an actual Roku device, you can stream it directly there onto your TV. But otherwise, now it is really, really easy to get a hold of them on your computer. And the quality is so much better. And these are the full-length versions, not the syndicated, edited down versions. So thank you for discovering that for me, Dr. Steve. And lastly, I need to welcome a new Tutti Frutti, Doug W. Hey, Doug, this is your official shout out. Doug has joined the ranks of folks who support the show through Patreon. If you wish to do the same, check out the show notes. You will find the link there. In the meantime, let us all welcome Doug W. to the family. Anyway, moving on to this week. KEN REID joined me and Matthew in watching Season 7, Episode 8, Come Back to the Truck Stop, Natalie Green, Natalie Green. And the original air date was November 9th of 1985. I think we're ready to jump on in. Let's face the facts with KEN REID. Well, KEN REID, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm very excited to be back.
Three-peat guest, third time. Matthew should be joining us shortly.
I see him. There he is.
Oh, there he is. Hi.
You see how this is, Ken? He rarely even acknowledges my existence.
Now he'll
so good to see you and know you. Oh my God.
He'll just go and then you show up when you show up.
I listen so regularly, Ken. I'm just such a big fan of your
thank you.
show.
Thank you. Is that an Emmy behind you, by the way?
Oh my God, that is crazy. You would bring that up. Oh my God. Yes, it is. I am an Emmy Award owner. Yes.
Oh, what did you win for?
I didn't say I won. I said I own.
Well, yeah, but you could make something up.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's funny you say that. This was given to me by the wonderful Catherine O'Hara. Because when she finally won for Schitt's Creek, she called me and she said, this is your Emmy, honestly, because whenever I have a line reading that I need help with or a motivation, she would call and I would help. So basically, I created and executed the role of Moira Rose through Catherine O'Hara. So
that would have been my guess.
It's an Emmy Award back there. Isn't that fun?
I've held Ben Schwartz's Emmy that he won for writing for the Oscars.
When I held Ben Schwartz's Emmy, it was his euphemism that he had.
His little gold man.
Yeah, it was just as pointy, if I'm being honest. It was
heavy too. Yeah.
Oh God, heavier than you think, and
yes.
Difficult to light, if I'm being honest.
The gold Power Ranger.
Well, we are off to a classy professional start here. And it's quite fitting, really, that this is very unlike how we start the show typically, Ken, because we don't have such a prestigious guest. And
stop it. I'm here every week.
I meant Ken, honey.
Well,
Oh,
And but it's fitting because we are here to talk about a weird ass episode of Facts of Life. Wow.
yeah, this is sort of a precursor to the weirdness we will get in the next 2 seasons.
Yeah. Ken has always said frequently on his show about how when a show runs, what do you say, past what, 5 or 6
It's
seasons?
usually like 5 seasons, because then they have like a turnover in the behind the scenes crew, and also they're like, well, we did everything. And I think the people in the show are just bored, and a lot of them are stage actors, so they're like, can we just do weird plays?
Yeah. Can we do musical numbers? Can we have
Yeah.
more fantasy sequences? And
Can I play an old lady?
yeah. Can my friend in the wheelchair tap dance? And yeah.
I don't know, can they? Is
Yeah.
it may they tap dance or can they tap?
But this is, I'm so happy to finally have you here. I've been trying to get you here since you had said in our earlier meetings, earlier shows, how much you love Over Our Heads. You have said, Ken, is, I believe you said it is the aesthetic of your life.
Yeah, I mean, look at the room I'm in right now. I mean, your listeners can't, but this is essentially a built-in office that's like my attempt to live in Over Our Heads.
So, Ken, it's my pleasure to introduce you to my
Oh, one moment.
You need a break?
This is, speaking of Over Our Heads, I have one of the Tangle sculptures that they have in the first episode. And this is an original Tangle sculpture, which again, people who are just listening couldn't see that, but that took me years to find.
Wow, I've had a little one. Like there was like a little
Tangle
tiny.
Junior. Yep. Yeah.
It's called Tangle.
Like untangle. Yeah, the ones that they sold later were called Tangle Junior, and they were manufactured by, I forget the toy company, but the original ones were this New York artist, and it was considered like a kinetic sculpture. And then they bought the rights to make these. It was the Slinky company. That's who it is. The company that made Slinky.
Oh, okay.
And they marketed them towards children with autism as like a fidget spinner type thing.
Oh, okay. That kind of makes sense. I get it. Yeah, we have a pet peeve on the show. It's Matthew who brought this to my attention. A thing that he hates is sitcom lying. When people lie on a sitcom and do so very poorly to telegraph to the audience that they're lying, but the other characters in the scene with them would so clearly know. And we're thinking of it's a planter.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the ticket.
Yeah.
Ugh. And
because the audience is clearly too stupid to get that you're lying. So it's got to be this whole fucking production of yeah, I'm going out with a friend. Yeah, that's it.
The thing that never works is when writers use the word well. Because nobody can say, like, it takes a fairly skilled actor to use the word well naturally, because they'll always be like, it's a like it never, like it especially makes it bad. And I apologize, I stepped all over Matthew's intro, so please. Please.
No, not at all. Here's the thing. Matthew sometimes does a little shtick that I wasn't sure if he was planning to do by making a late entrance, so we're totally fine. What will happen is the screen, you won't see his face yet. You'll just hear the audio, and he'll say things like, and then after he was done, I looked through the hole and it was Dom DeLuise. Can you believe that?
I see.
And only because it tasted like pizza sauce, which was strange.
I would have expected vodka sauce given his history in Hollywood.
I was just happy it wasn't Betty Schwartz's Emmy.
But no, you stepped on nothing, Ken. It is my pleasure, Ken, to officially introduce you to my co-host, my sidekick, the Ed McMahon to my Johnny Carson. This is Matthew Arter. Matthew Arter, TV guidance counselor, Ken Reid.
Pleasure.
I am starstruck, Ken Reid.
That never happens.
I adore your podcast.
Oh, thank you.
And I don't know what to say without sounding like I'm smooching your butt, so I will.
I mean, I'm not mad at that.
I love like okay. Much when like David will get guests on here that have never seen the facts of life and stuff. So I'll sit and listen and be like, why the fuck is that person on here? And he knows this. This is not news. I will text him notes when I listen. But like when you get guests that like are like, what's Family Ties? I'm like, why are you on there?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Oh, well, that's usually if they're like 25.
These
like,
kids.
yeah.
Damn
What's
kids.
NBC. Yeah.
Yeah. So I love when you have to explain things that like just like when you're like, no, there were only 3 networks, and the person's like, what?
What's a network?
Yeah, it's because I spend my days watching Pluto TV mainly. That's all
Pluto.
I watch.
America's Test Kitchen. I'm usually on Pluto or the Baywatch channel. Big fan of that one.
I'm watching The Price is Right, the Barker era.
Oh,
that's
Buzzer.
what I watch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Buzzer...
Price is Right has its own channel. The Price
it?
is Right Barker era has its own channel.
Nice.
And then the Buzzer channel has
because
one.
Buzzer, I'm like Sale of the Century, Supermarket Sweep. That's the gold right there.
The original Match Game. I mean, just that's, oh my God, I could watch it and it feels like you're watching TV again because it is a live feed that you're like, okay, I know other people are witnessing this in real time at the same time I am. That's what TV feels like.
Yeah, and you get the menu screen as well, which I missed, like the the channel lineup. And there's a Judge Judy channel now there, which is amazing. The other channel, the Rescue 911 channel.
It has a Three's Company channel. Come on.
There's a Love Boat channel, which is appropriate for our discussion today, actually.
Oh yes. Oh yeah, we'll definitely talk about that. And that's right. Maybe we should discuss the facts of life. I just want to shoot the breeze with you, Ken.
No, hey, I got nothing to do.
Well, Ken, you were last here. Your first appearance on the show was August of 2019. That was Fear Strikes Back, season 3, episode 2. And then we had you back April of 2020 for Take My Finals, Please. Season 4, episode 22, still my favorite episode of all time of the entire series. And then I got the pleasure of being on your show.
Twice.
I think we recorded. That's right. Twice we recorded, and then you had a technical snafu and you felt so bad.
I really did.
And I was like, it's okay. I get to record with you another hour. I already have rehearsed the things I want to say. It's perfect.
You're in rarefied air as one of the 3 episodes of my show that I've lost. The other being Keith Coogan, and the third being Ricky Rackman and Zach Galligan together.
Wow. I'm in such good company.
Yeah.
I don't know who they are. I'm sorry.
Ricky Rackman used to own the Viper Room in Los Angeles and then hosted Headbangers Ball. And I got a big scoop in that episode, actually, because he had never talked about this before, but his stepmother was Karen Black. So I got all this weird Karen Black stuff that I regret. Keith Coogan is Jackie Coogan's grandson. He's in Adventures in Babysitting. And,
that's right. Okay,
everything.
I remember. Yeah,
and he had some great stories as well. And I that was a rough one. But of 500 plus episodes, 3 is not bad.
Yeah, no, that's a pretty good track record. I haven't lost one yet. Knock wood. I'm so lucky. I did fuck up another person's podcast by forgetting to wear earphones, and we recorded separately. And then she tried to put them together and she's like, there's a terrible echo. And I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, it happens. I've had that happen as well, but rescued best I could.
Yeah.
People understand.
It's all good. It's all good. Well, we are so happy to have you back. And this is not the last time you're going to be here because I feel so bad for how much you love Over Our Heads. I'm like, this would be a great weird episode for Ken to do, not thinking there is no Over Our Heads in this. We can't even talk about the store.
Yeah, but I'm going to come back for 7 Little Indians, whether you like it or not.
Oh, good.
That's a definite. Maybe probably the one that introduces Pippa, and likely the one where Pippa has a band and Stacy Q is in Cinnamon for the second time.
Cinnamon.
We're gonna need a straight man for that one because her appeal goes right over my head.
Yep.
So
It's the sexy lingerie episode.
So we just did that like literally last week. That was the sexy lingerie episode, and
that's the El DeBarge guest starring spot.
Yes.
Cinnamon shows up the first episode, David, is this first episode for Cinnamon, I believe, is when they're auditioning for a Broadway show. And it is as if no one in the writer's room had ever seen an actor audition before or been around actors who've auditioned before. It was just a complete fantasy of what Broadway show auditions are. And
like I've seen a chorus line. That's good enough.
Yeah, that's exactly what this is all like. Ugh, God.
And Stacey Q is interesting in that she was in a weird electro punk band called SSQ that did some songs in the Return of the Living Dead soundtrack before she was sort of reinvented as this like pop Kylie Minogue type, which is very strange.
I look forward to having you here. I'm with Matthew because it's like, this was the act that they went, we need to get that girl on our show. Damn, she needs to be on our show.
Warner Brothers. That's why.
Oh, synergy. This episode was written. The episode we are about to discuss is season 7, episode 8. Come back to the truck stop, Natalie Green. Though already controversy. The DVD just lists this as truck stop.
Why?
And, well, because the title is pretentious and overwrought.
It is referencing "Come Back to the Five and Dine," Jimmy Dean, for people who don't know, which was a stage play, right? And then I think an '82 movie from Robert Altman.
Yes,
a stage play. It was Cher's Broadway debut, for God's sake.
I'm weak on my stage knowledge.
Yes, I know. Your last episode with that couple, and they were like, which version of Chicago are you going to watch? Oh, the one with John C. Reilly. And then somebody said, oh, I'm going to watch the one with Renee Zellweger. And I'm sitting in my car going, it's the same one. There's only one Chicago.
But yeah, that was an Altman movie. It had Cher in it. It had Sandy Dennis. It had Karen Black. And Karen Black played, I believe, what nowadays we would call a trans woman.
Yes.
Though
that's the big reveal in it.
Big reveal. Oops, spoiler alert. And in a supporting role, I believe her first film, Kathy Bates.
Yes.
And the entire stage cast was brought back for the film. And if you watch the film, it looks like a stage play that a filmmaker pointed a camera at, and it's terribly uncinematic, I believe.
But it's sort of intentional. Like, it's like, because he had just done Popeye, I think, and he was all like, I'm going to do a really simple sort of stage play type. And also that was in the air, because when did One from the Heart come out? The Francis Ford Coppola movie. I think it was a similar year, was kind of a similar thing. There was like where directors were like, I want to direct stage shows, but I'm a film director, so what can I do?
Yeah. But things like the flashbacks were it takes place in a soda fountain, basically. And there's, of course, the requisite mirror on the back wall facing the bar. And that mirror turns out to be two-way glass. So theatrically, you can light behind it, and suddenly you have people you can see in shadows and flashbacks and things. And that's awesome on stage. Doing it on film is like the two-way glass in a movie. That's your big technical step aside, Lucas. Get out of here. Get out of here, Zemeckis and Spielberg. You're gonna get a run for your money here. We got two-way fucking glass.
It's like somebody tried to do a stage version of The Big Chill, and the only play they'd ever seen was Our Town.
Oh my God. So this episode, now I think literally because they were like, why is this title 20 times longer than every other title? So the DVD, which I have been taking as the Bible, like the order, the broadcast order and all that. Well, this just says truck stop. But as far as the versions that I have downloaded and the IMDb listing and the Wikipedia listing, all of those call it Come Back to the Truck Stop, Natalie Green. So that's what we are going to say this episode is called.
And I will do this later, but if I had more time to prepare for this, which is not a criticism. I would do my best to track down a shooting script for you, so that I could at least get a photo of the cover, which would have the shooting title.
Wow. Okay. That's great. And I hope start rounding them up for those others, or do you already have them?
I got some contacts that could help.
Oh, I cannot wait. I cannot wait. Speaking of contacts, we do have a little surprise coming up in a little bit later as we discuss here. That's a little cliffhanger for you and for my tens of listeners. The episode was written by Michael Maurer, Maurer. This is the first of 6 episodes that he will work on between now and season 8. And he is the writer of season 8, episode 1. That's the first part of the 2-part episode where Mrs. Garrett departs the series. So he has kind of one of the episodes he's written is a kind of important one. And he's still out there today, still writing. Most of his credits, it looks like 90 to 95% of his credits are cartoons, starting in the late 70s, and a lot of series, not many one-offs. There's a lot of clumps of episodes of animated series. So.
Which makes a lot of sense with this episode.
Explains a lot, doesn't it? And it was directed by John Boab. John is the in-house director these days. He directs the most of the Facts of Life and pretty much all of them this season.
And by this time, directing is a strong word. For what's happening.
Are the cameras on?
Yeah. I'll be honest with you. I wrote down 0 things like for notes for this because I love this episode. Don't get me wrong. I love it. I love it. I love it. But trying to keep notes and stuff, I was like, this, it's just so non sequitur. So I was just like, I'll just give up. The only note I have is really Pearl Bailey. Okay. Yeah. That's the only thing I wrote down.
Although Hee-Haw was huge at the time.
What does Pearl Bailey have to do with Hee-Haw?
No, that's Minnie Pearl, Ken. Minnie Pearl.
Oh.
Yeah. Howdy!
I can see why you would get them confused. But
straight guys, Jesus Christ. So yeah, I'm with you, Matthew. I have my typical detailed, meticulous synopsis here, but I'm thinking I'm going to try to do the thing where I attempt to abandon it to give us a little more freeform ability to speak. But we cannot even begin that process until, Ken, I put my guest on the spot and ask you to provide a 1 to 2 sentence synopsis of the entire episode, something like, a listing you might find in a TV guide.
Natalie fantasizes about the comings and goings of an isolated truck stop.
Thank you. Fucking thank you.
Amazing. So the beginning of the episode, we start on a neon sign. We read from the neon sign that we are at Bernie's Truck Stop Cafe. And it pans out and we are in a completely foreign place. And we're going to be here the entire episode. It's like a slightly lower class Mel's Diner, wouldn't you say?
It reminds me a little bit of the diner from the Twilight Zone episode with the real Martian, please stand up. If you recall that episode.
I don't. I've only started watching. Matthew, why are you laughing so hard?
Yes, what you mean.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And like to the point where I was like, is this the same set?
Oh my God.
Well, now I have to watch that. I haven't seen it. I've only started watching Twilight Zone fairly recently. It's only, and there's a lot of them.
You're in for a treat. With the real Martian, please stand up is one of the comedy episodes. And it's very good. It's sort of the quintessential bottle episode of the Twilight Zone.
Oh, good. Well, now I have to watch that. There is an old jukebox by the door. And what is it playing? Do you remember?
Stand by your
Yes.
man.
Yes.
For some reason.
Yeah, because this is supposed to be in upstate New York.
Oh, it's supposed to be Pennsylvania.
Okay, so but in that area, like right over the border there. And but it is full on, like, could be in the middle of Arkansas here.
It is weird, and we can stop right here because Natalie comes in Natalie has hit a snag in her travels. We know Natalie was going to be traveling in lieu of attending college. And so this is now, okay, Natalie is our way in. She's the fish out of water. And this truck stop with all of these interesting characters, Natalie is trying to write. She's trying to experience things. And she thinks to herself, okay, this would be a great place to find inspiration. And Natalie attempts to write a story. And a very common theatrical device that you find is, as you're writing the story, the characters appear, the characters start talking back, they want to take over or leave. It's a structure that gives a lot of leeway for fun and absurdity. And yeah, so that's really the bigger picture of the episode.
It's used, that conceit, in my opinion, is best used in the film Delirious with John Candy. Have you ever seen that?
No.
John Candy is a soap opera writer who is hit on the head and wakes up in the soap opera he writes for, but everything he writes happens. So he's sort of controlling this world. And it's a totally underrated movie. There's some really weird dark humor in that is just great. Emma Samms is really good in it. It's a good movie. And it's this pretty much this sort of exact thing.
Huh. Well, another thing I have to watch now. Thanks, Ken, for the homework.
And a fine film based on a Prince title.
Oh, yeah. Already when I listen to your show, I walk away going, well, there's 3 more things I have to watch. Add that to the pile.
Sorry. Sorry. And you follow up. You find these things.
Raymond Burr is in that movie, for God's sake.
Oh, he is. That's right. And what's his name from who's in The Good Fight? He's the murderer, and he's also in Happiness. Dylan Baker.
I'm remembering Muriel Hemingway.
Oh yes, that's right.
Muriel.
Oh, that's right. The child that Woody Allen wants to fuck in the movie Manhattan.
Just the one.
Yeah, that was what was revolutionary about it. It was just one.
I'm also shocked that Natalie appears to be doing this sort of Kerouac journey on a bicycle.
We're going to talk about that. Let's first, I was trying to speed up because you already brought up a great point that I want to emphasize. The waitress that she talks to, not the sharpest knife in the drawer. And she's sort of having this slightly New York kind of a talk. Well, last time we had a rainstorm and the power went out, and Natalie's like, "Oh, that must have been exciting. What intrigue happened? Tell me. Oh, the meat in the freezer went bad." And Natalie's like, "Oh, okay." But that's giving us a kind of a New York thing. So then Natalie says, "Oh, maybe the truck drivers have got interesting stories." And these 2 truck drivers sit down. The first one says, "So, what are you hauling?" And he says, Pine board. How about you?
Fertilizer.
Oh, that's
fertilizer. Right. That's right. Now, granted, they are truck drivers. They could be hauling from the south to the north, but I'm like, okay, we have quite a little dialect cocktail being presented to us, ladies and gentlemen.
It's almost as bad as the movie version of Steel Magnolias as far as accents go, and nobody being in charge and saying y'all grew up in the same small town.
Yeah.
So you should all have sort of the same accent. Anyway, not about my personal betrayals.
The Crystal Bernard mystery of really everything she's in, but specifically Wings. Oh, you grew up on Nantucket and you have an accent like you grew up in rural Tennessee, and that's never mentioned or explained. Much like every movie Schwarzenegger and Van Damme is in. Okay.
Sure. Let's just suspend that disbelief. Why don't we? So there is this sense of, so wait a minute, where are we? And we learn that Natalie has broken down outside. It's outside of Philly. Like she was in Philly that morning. So we're outside of Philly. So it's like, I always think of Tina Fey and her magnificent Philly accent when she puts it on. When she's, we've traveled across many waters, crossed the Skokie River, and anyway, that's not an accent I'm very good at doing, so I will do no more. So we've got this thing, but yeah, let us backtrack. When Natalie walks in, she has got a bicycle in 2 pieces, the front wheel dented, And so she gets on the phone, tries to call home, and she gets the answering machine. And she says on the answering machine, all right, well, here's the short version. Natalie Green on the road is a bust. That's your Kerouac reference there. I'm coming home. That's all. About your bike, I've had it modified. Bye. So Blair has a bike. Blair on her bike rides all the time. That Blair Warner biker chick.
We learned 2 pieces of interesting information about Blair from this exchange. One, she owns a bike, which maybe she's just rich. She has a bike. She doesn't use it. Maybe. But 2, presumably, this is pre-cell phone. So the girl's house has one answering machine, which we've never seen. And Blair is the one that does the outgoing message. I would not have suspected that to be the case.
True. And actually, we have heard it before, Ken. We have called home and gotten the answering. I'm trying to remember what was the episode. Do you remember, Matthew? And the machine, it just shows a close-up of the machine on the desk. And you hear, hello, we're not here. And then Tootie says, so leave us a message. And Natalie's like, and we'll call you. Like, they took turns to make it.
That's what I would expect. But apparently, since that time, Blair has decided she's going to take over and be the outgoing message, because Natalie has an instant where she's like, Blair, it's great to hear your recorded voice. Like, because she thinks it's her, and then it's the message.
Maybe she had the music on in the background, and the outgoing message is, hello, wait a minute, let me turn the music down.
Yeah.
And you turn the music down.
People would do that.
Those fuckers.
It'd be like, hi, nope, I'm not here. And
no.
Like, you son of a bitch.
Damn you to hell. So Natalie on the road, on a bicycle. She does ask when the next bus is back to Peekskill to go home. She's going to take the bus home, but are we to assume that she has been biking her way down the coast, that she is a Peekskill, and she has a backpack that literally has a notebook and a pen in it? Like,
she's a writer.
And writers don't bathe. Writers don't need toiletry. It's like, I don't know. I mean, if she had kind of a bigger ass, like camping backpack, like, I'm just traveling with my stuff, maybe it might be believable, but I was just like, whoa, what?
This is the beginning, and this may be a controversial opinion, but this is the beginnings of when there's sort of a tug of war behind the scenes at Facts of Life over who is the main character of this show. Oh. And I think there's a contingent of writers that absolutely believes it's Natalie and is really pushing for her to be the center of the show. And there's another set of writers that are all about Blair.
Mm-hmm.
As we move into these final 3 seasons, most of the storylines start to revolve around them, or the big, especially the sort of spin-off storylines that could potentially be.
Yeah, even Joe at the youth center with Paul Provenza. Paul Provenza ends up being Blair's fellow for stuff.
Joe is just a fulcrum to get Provenza and Blair together.
And thank you for being the first person to use the word fulcrum on my show.
It's one of my favorites.
I'm honored. So Natalie, after making this phone call, leaves her bike in the middle of the floor, in front of a door. She just leaves it there and then sits at the counter. And then we get a device not frequently used, but it's only been used a couple of times. It's not something we hear a lot of, where we hear the inner thoughts of a character while they are in a scene. And this is what she is writing. So she's saying day 9 of my journey to nowhere. So for 9 days, she's been biking from Peekskill to Philly. I don't know if that tracks. I meant to look that up and I forgot. I suppose you could.
From upstate New York, yeah, because Peekskill's supposed to be like around Albany. Is that right?
No, it's only an hour outside of New York City. Peekskill's not as far.
North. Okay, so then Philly from New York is like a 2.5-hour drive. So yeah, 9 days, that would work about right.
Yeah, that's long. I mean, yeah. Okay.
She must have been going real slow.
I'm just happy she didn't show up on a skateboard, because for some reason she's dressed like Marty McFly from Back to the Future.
Very much. And also, like, do you remember the episode of Roseanne where she dresses up as a man and goes to the club, to the bar?
Yeah.
Natalie, aside from the beard, is dressed identical to her in that show.
Yeah, very Lumberjill, isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah. Wow. It's true. Now, there's another TV trope. How many TV shows have done the episode where women go to the bar in drag, like Laverne and Shirley, because they had to get their name off the men's room wall? And that's another, we'll look that up on TV tropes. We got to stick to this here. So as Natalie writes, this is where she lays down the whole conceit of I'm experiencing life and I'm finding things to write about, but she's blocked a little bit. She's like, come on, Green, you can come up with things. Maybe the waitress, maybe the trucker. And because it's 8 p.m. and the bus to Peekskill is at midnight, she's basically trapped there for 4 hours. So the inspiration hits when one of the truckers is an asshole to the waitress about how shitty the coffee is. And Natalie just goes, and the springboard of this is Natalie saying, okay, they say, write what you know. And then that incident happens. And then she thinks, yeah, wow, Joe would never put up with that. I'd like to see him try that with Joe.
Which is a weird thing. That's sort of like dealing with a step parent saying, you're not my real father. Like, you're not my real character. Like,
yeah,
you're not good enough. You can't do things in my world. I need Joe.
Yeah. It's like, she couldn't just imagine this waitress kicking this dude's ass. It's like,
It's weird too. This seems to be a character inconsistency, which you two would know much better than I would here. But traditionally, Natalie was always presented as a journalist, like that kind of writer. Like she wanted to sort of write about real things and humanity and sort of, like she almost is a gonzo journalist at times later. Like she's going undercover, or she's going to write a story about this restaurant or, whatever it is. So it's odd that she's in a sort of purely Americana world.
In a creative place.
Yes. And instead of sort of getting involved or learning about it, she just creates some completely fantastical world that's already the people she knows.
Yeah. As opposed to it being more almost an exploration of working people and meeting folks. Yeah, this could have had a little more of a expository quality to it.
That's what I was thinking. Like, let me talk to these people. They probably have interesting lives, but no.
Yeah, well, we know that she used to write, Matthew, help me with this. We know she was writing a play/monologue for Tootie to use at a competition. And there was, I feel like there's two, and I can't think of the second one, but my brain is telling me there are two instances where and she was lyric writing. When we met Mrs. Garrett's Flibbertigibbet son, when we met, not Raymond, Alex, I think is the younger son, the one that was kind of the, hey, I'm touring with a band. Yeah, that's it. I'm a guitar player and I make music. I make music with famous people. Yeah. So we had Natalie as a lyric writer in that. I feel like you are right. I'm agreeing with you.
I feel like there were school newspaper articles and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. We had journalists, but I think honest and truly, for how fuzzy some of the other characters are, the fact that they can't decide what kind of writing Natalie does, but that it all falls under the umbrella of she's a writer, I'm okay with it.
Fair enough.
For me, that gets my seal of approval, because Blair, Blair's the artist. Oh, but she's also a vaudevillian performer with Cousin Jerry. But, Blair also is
ventriloquist.
An award-winning ventriloquist. Yes. And then it's like, oh, but all of the positions I hold at my dad's corporation. It's like, when do you have time to be a junior executive when you're
international business woman?
Yeah. And then you go to Paris with the girls and you're like, oh, I love it every time I come here. It's like, bitch,
and
where do you
find law school?
Yeah. And then she ends up going to law school when the year 2000 episode, that flash forward nightmare dream she has, that episode literally existed so that we reestablished that Blair wants to reconnect with her artistic self. Like they were really insistent that was the course they were plotting. And then they abandoned it again. So Natalie, as a writer, I don't give a fuck what kind of a writer she is. I am happy. But you
They're
are right.
words, aren't they?
Yeah. It's a pen and a paper, ain't it?
Well, and she's also doing the sitcom trope. I mean, it's obvious she's not writing anything. It's just might as well just be like drawing on that paper. It drives me crazy that she's not even attempting to look like she's writing.
I call it Mr. Belvedere style journaling.
Oh my God. Beautiful. Yeah. Like, and when you see people typing and you know they're not like I'm thinking of Dick Van Patten on 8 is Enough when he'd be sitting at the typewriter, and even Angela Lansbury sometimes on Murder, She Wrote.
How dare you imply? I'm done. We're gonna start insulting Angela Lansbury. I'm out.
Pre-90s version of hacking. When people are hackers in a show, it's just that's how they used to write. Yeah, you have to just, as long as you're constantly tapping keys, something's happening.
Yeah, like in the movie, is it Showgirls or is it Glitter? It's one of the two where you know there's it's both of them, where it's like, can I have your social security number? And they're like, it's 2. Okay.
Yeah.
It's like, it's one number. What the fuck?
There's a famous story about Russ Meyer, that when he had Roger Ebert writing Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, Russ Meyer believed if he didn't hear typing, writing wasn't going on.
Oh my God.
So Roger was down the hall, and every so often he'd have Russ Meyer like peek through the door and be like, "Why aren't you working?" So Roger would just have to like constantly be making typewriter noises, or he was like, "I'm paying you to work."
Wow. So as this episode progresses, Joe comes in, and now Joe is dressed as this waitress, completely not Joe Palnacek. She's got teased up hair. She has got a bright red lip. We never see Joe with lipstick. God knows. She's wearing the same Mel's Diner pink outfit. She's got a big baggy sweater over it. But suddenly Natalie is deciding she wants to maybe write this story about this tough, weather-worn, obviously from the Bronx type of a waitress character. And then we start getting into this thing where Natalie starts adding characters and trying to find the plot and the drama and the suspense. And throughout the rest of the episode, all of the dialogue, all of the physicality, everything is heightened, melodramatic. They're going for basically soap opera type of stuff.
It's more Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like they were too scared to go full Hell's a Poppin'.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just like a real Looney Tunes kind of like cartoonish thing.
Yeah, we're much closer to an anvil falling out of the sky than we are anything else.
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
And there are inconsistencies with that. You can tell they wanted to go screwy, and they just couldn't find it. The two moments that stick out for me is later in the episode, Natalie kind of says, "Okay, wait a minute. This would be a perfect time." And Natalie picks up a cigarette. She walks over to the counter and an arm just pops up with a lighter. She lights the cigarette and then blows out the lighter and then doesn't smoke the cigarette. But just this arm comes out of nowhere. And then there's a point very late in the episode where Joe, as this waitress, makes a joke. And the moment is Joe says something to one of the characters like, "You can't appreciate a good omelet until you've hatched one yourself." And then she looks at the camera, which nobody has done in this episode yet, and says, "I got a lot of good lines like that."
Yes.
And yeah, I'm like, does she?
Does Clooney? I think Clooney looks at the camera. Clooney's a gem in this episode, by the way.
Oh my God, yes.
Because he is, I mean, he's great on the show in general, but one of his great talents, almost to a fault, is the ability to be detached from what he's in. Yeah. So he comes in and does intentional bad acting.
Yes.
And it is just the highlight of this episode.
I could not agree more. It takes a good actor to act like a bad actor. You have to know the rules before you break them. It takes a great singer to sing badly. A lot of people think, oh, well, we'll just hire a bad singer. It's like, no. You hire Madeline Kahn to be Lily von Stupp in Blazing Saddles. And that is the genius you get.
That needs to be controlled.
Exactly, yeah. But it's one of those things where, well, we are just going to take off here. We're going to take the bus. And Natalie says, you can't leave my story. And they're like, well, why not? She says, the bus can't go anywhere because it's raining and the bridge is flooded out. And they're like, what are you talking about? Suddenly rain starts pouring outside. And Clooney walks in as the bus driver. And he literally says, any of you here to go on my bus? Sorry, can't do it. Bridge is flooded over. Like,
yes.
But oh my God. So fan-fucking-tastic.
It's perfect.
Yeah. And agreed. He is my favorite thing in this whole episode. But yeah, the inconsistencies of those other things, like the breaking the fourth wall. Why didn't they break the fourth wall sooner? And that's the joke. That's not even a good joke. And you haven't been cracking wise the entire time to have bought yourself that. That was very, very strange.
This all has the air to me of a Bruce Vilanch written 70s variety show sketch.
Oh,
like
yes.
This feels very much like that. Like Donnie and Marie would be the waiter and one of the truck drivers, and they'd have, William Conrad come in as, the part Tootie played. And, I don't know who would be the Blair part. Maybe that woman from Laugh-In.
Ruth Buzzy or
Ruth Buzzy, yeah. It'd just be like, it's got that kind of vibe to it.
Yeah. And the big moment that we, while you're talking about a variety show, we have to talk about it. It's like, it would be something as crazy as Natalie looking at her page and saying, okay, I've got these crazy characters. You're all wanting to do this and other thing. What's going to happen now? Is Charo going to come running in? And Charo comes in.
Yeah.
The Charo is in this episode. Holy shit, she is fan-fucking-tastic.
Oh, she's amazing. But it, again, makes it feel like that sort of Paul Lynde show 1970s variety show sketch episode.
Yeah. And while Charo is there, she comes running in and doing her cochi, cochi, cochi. And she sings Cuanta Le Gusta and starts a conga line. And she's just going crazy. And Natalie is screaming and yelling at people going, no, stop this. This is not my story. And so Natalie's angry at this.
And also having a psychotic break.
A little bit.
Natalie is now arguing with herself in her own head.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Can we talk a bit about Charo, like do a little bit of a sidebar about this woman and her career?
So one thing I will mention to segue into that is Charo essentially is playing a living intrusive thought in this episode, which Charo is a force of nature. But yeah, she was a classical guitarist who played with Xavier Cugat in his big band for years and is amazingly talented at that.
Look for you. There are YouTube videos as recently as 2013. I found one. I'll post a link to it of her playing the classic flamenco Spanish style guitar. And it is insane.
If you don't follow her on social media, you must. Her Instagram is fantastic.
I think, Matthew, you told me to do it, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. And I mean, the thing that I love about Charo is she 80 or is she 25? Because that woman has looked, this was filmed almost 40 years ago. She looks exactly the same.
Yeah.
And so good job her, but yeah, she's one of those people that people think of as a joke, but you're like Jane Mansfield, like she was anything but a joke. She is one of the most talented human beings. And I saw her in person one time. Oh my God, her feet are disgusting.
Who? Charo?
Yeah, because she was sitting on always wears those open-toed shoes under 3 pairs of pantyhose and tights and everything. And you could just see her toes were like, because she's 110 and she's been dancing and wearing those heels, but her toes were like she could swoop down over a lake and pick up lunch. Oh God.
Yeah. Well, she this same year, 85, she was in Pee-wee's Christmas special.
Yep.
And she had become a little bit in vogue again, but she always was knowing about it. Like she always was very, and still is, if you follow her on social media, like she's very wink and a nod about her reputation and her career, which is pretty amazing. My favorite thing is the only time I've ever seen her get really serious was when she was on VH1's Surreal Life.
Oh,
And Jordan Knight was one of the people, Dave Coulier, Vern Troyer, I think, what's her name that was married to Sylvester Stallone and then had a relationship with Flavor Flav?
Brigitte
Brigitte
Nielsen.
Nielsen, and someone else. But they had to do it. They had to record a song, and Dave Coulier was like, "Well, I could do mouth trumpet," and he's doing his like, and she gets so mad, and she just keeps going, "The trumpet of a human being." The trumpet to a human being, like she's so mad that this is in this song, and I'm like, yeah, she's a serious musician. That's offensive to her.
and the
Well,
thing
Dave
is,
Coulier is offensive to a lot of people. So, I mean, if we're being honest,
Fair,
if you have to go for Coulier, you've already lost the argument.
fair enough.
Ugh.
but that's the thing about her is the phenomenon, the enigma for me is just, it's this thing of she speaks English and other languages, supposedly. And so much of what her shtick was her speaking broken English and saying things that maybe sound a little dirty and all that. But she's still on her Instagram. It's, hola amigos, today I'm going to try to take on the trampoline because it's important to exercise. Like she still talks that way. And there was like, I remember her on, I think it was on Johnny Carson, where she says, "Oh, I like to go to the," and Johnny says the something or other, like to make sure you understand. She goes, "Yes, don't you speak English?" And she is so, you get it's like I think she's in on the joke.
Of course.
She's like a mad genius, because I think, like, you think when her Instagram, when they turn off and say, "Okay, was that good?" She's like, "Yeah, did that go okay? Cool. All right, I'm gonna go over and garden for a little bit now, and yeah, let me know how many likes I get on that. Cool, thanks."
Potentially, I mean, the other thing is, if you've heard her speak Spanish, I forget, she's from somewhere in South America.
No, she's from Spain. She's Spanish.
Is she from Spain?
She's Spanish, yeah.
Because her Spanish accent is essentially the Spanish version of Raquel Welch's accent, like that odd, almost like mid-Atlantic, like that's she speaks like that Spanish.
Yeah. Well, if you're taught English in Spain, you're taught British English, so
Right.
it would have an English,
Yeah.
and the el cefeo. That's the other thing, where a lot of the C sounds come out like a TH. But funny you brought up how old is she, Matthew, because her birth date was in dispute for many, many years. I was looking her up, and this is on Wikipedia. First of all, she was born Maria del Rosario Mercedes Pilar Martinez Molina Baeza. Weren't we all? And originally, there was a dispute whether she was born in 1941 or 1951.
And I actually think it was much closer to 1931.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, absolutely.
But the deal is, and then there was apparently also a possibility of it being 1945, because there was some sort of an appearance, it might have been Ed Sullivan or something, in 1966, where they introduced her as a 21-year-old. And it's like, okay, wait, huh? But
Because she was playing with Cugat in the 50s.
Well, no. Well, allegedly, she says that the documents in Spain and the migration documents and all that somehow got it wrong. And she convinced a judge that she was born in 1951. So that is legally, that's what's on the books.
That's impressive.
But if you look on an appearance on Ed Sullivan in 1965, it's like, if you were born in 1951, you were 14. She is not 14 in this appearance. I'll post the video. She looks more 24 and maybe even older. I'm with Matthew here. And yet, look at the Carol Burnett show in 1973. In 1973, according to her birth date, 1951, she'd have been 22. And it's like, okay, I could kind of buy that. That's the one where Carol plays her mother with the saggy boobs. It's fucking hilarious. Oh my God. I'll put that. I got like links to that video too.
Because Love Boat was what, 75 Love Boat started, maybe?
No, like 76 to 83-ish Love Boat.
And she's like in her 50s on Love Boat.
Yeah. Well, here, as of 1985, if you take that she was born in 1951, that means that she is
35.
34, 35. Yeah. I'm not so sure about it. It's convenient that the date she convinced the judge was her actual birth date was the later of all the disputed dates. That's pretty convenient.
Coincidence, I'm sure.
Yeah, because that would make her 70 today. And it's like...
She's definitely not 70.
I don't think so either. I'm thinking she's closer to 80. And
I'm thinking more than that.
But she looks amazing. She's like, she posts, you know, on her Instagram, she'll be on the trampoline and she'll be exercising, and
she's had a little work done.
A little bit. I think she's got a beard after all the facelifts, but
she is active.
Oh God, yeah, and she still looks amazing. So, we were talking about, you know, the artistry. People think of her as a joke because of the persona and all that. And she had that artistry. Liberace, same thing. People forget what a fucking amazing piano player he was.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
When you look at it, it's like, oh, this is how he got famous. Jesus.
Or even to a lesser degree, like someone like Glenn Campbell, you know, just because he hosted a variety show. I'm like, that guy was a session guitarist in the Wrecking Crew for like 20 years. Like, that guy's a murderer on the guitar.
Yeah. So for one of the weirdest of the episodes thus far, I'm sorry, we have George Clooney and we have Charo. That is all I need to make me happy in a half hour of television.
Yeah, I mean, you could have not said the phrase in a half hour of television and I would have agreed with that statement.
That's all you need out of life. So now is the time for me to reveal my little surprise.
I've been waiting for this moment to happen on Zoom.
Not that little surprise. No,
God,
sorry.
Damn it, David.
But I forget, Ken, if I told you that Matthew and I have made friends with the woman who was the costumer for the last 3 seasons.
Yes, you did. Yes.
Diana Eden. I did an entire show that was just us interviewing her. Well, I haven't done this yet. I haven't kind of played this card where silently I've been like, I want to know some things. I want to know stuff. And so in this case, I did write to her and I did say, okay, we just watched the episode with Charo. El DeBarge was on last week. I'm like, do you have any stories, any memories? And the other question I have is, did they bring their own costumes or did you do that? Is that one of yours? And her information, I mean, she is 81 years old and this was 35 years ago. So she does say, I don't have specific memories. Maybe if I watched the episode, I'd see it. But in response to the question about whether celebrities bring their own wardrobe, she says, usually when celebrities do a guest starring role on a show, they bring their own wardrobe, though they consult with the designer to see what type of wardrobe fits the scene. And she says, for Charo, for instance, I can't imagine anyone being able to provide her with Charo outfits better than her, especially in the 1 week format. That's right, because they're always in a time crunch.
Right.
So, yeah. Then
that
she also
stuff isn't exactly off the rack. Like,
no.
She can't run to the TJ Maxx and be like, you know what? This will look great on Charo.
Maybe now.
Yeah.
with her 8-inch waist and her 47-inch
always
tits.
dresses like Charo.
Nothing was said about El DeBarge, unfortunately, because I think El DeBarge looks like a Wayans brother character.
Oh, yeah. El DeBarge. First of all, El DeBarge looks like a woman dressed as a man. Like, that mustache does not look like he made that.
It's Felicia Rashad as a drag king, I think.
Well, if you recall, El DeBarge came from the group DeBarge, which was him and his siblings. And there is a sister in that group. And it looks like a before and after.
Well, like the Michael and Janet and LaToya. It's like, have we seen them in the same room together ever?
Yeah. El DeBarge was also in a Punky Brewster. And I want to say a Gimme a Break, like the same year.
Well, it was, I think it was a solo.
How dare you, Ken Reid, bring up Nell Carter in my presence.
You don't like that?
I have loved hearing, this is why you have to have Carol Lee on your show, my drag persona, because she has done them all. And Nell Carter, that bitch, Oh my God.
She seems like a lunatic.
Yes. She's definitely got a case of the batshits.
Yeah.
And she was just one of the most unpleasant people I've ever met in my life.
That
and I
does
met
not
her
surprise me.
as a fan, and I met her because when she's at Disney World, when celebrities are at Disney, they get a tour guide with them. She opened the door for her tour guide and slammed it, and then called the VIP tour guide office and was bitching and said, "I asked for a beautiful woman tour guide." So she was a huge carpet muncher, by the way.
So you would say that she was misbehaving.
Oh,
Totally.
bam. That's a Broadway joke, Ken. I'm impressed.
Yes, getting better.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, but it was the year of El DeBarge. He also did Who's Johnny in Short Circuit the same year.
Oh, geez. That was a big year for him. Yeah, you could see it was such a, oh, this is the next Michael. This is just like the Jackson 5 and what Michael did. This is the next thing. We're going to do it too.
It was a great year for him. Sadly, there were no other great years.
Yes.
For him.
The first in a series of one great years.
Yeah.
Bless his heart.
Yeah. So I thank Diana Eden for writing back to me. And I did approach her very
Nice.
genteelly saying, please don't think I'm going to inundate you or whatever. And her response just like, nah, ask me. I don't care. You don't bother me. You're fine.
That's great.
So next time I might send her a link to the show and say, hey, would you look at this again and tell me if there's any stories?
I can always text her, David. We text. So
yeah, I have her email address, Ken. Matthew somehow finagled her phone number and texts with her.
It's the way to do it. That's what I do with my guests.
I had her on my show 5 minutes in.
I know.
I interviewed her for my show that I was doing. My drag character was doing a show called 5 Minutes In, where I spent 5 minutes in a celebrity, Ken Reid. And I think I would love to spend 5 minutes in you, if I'm being honest. But
I mean, hey, shoot me an email, talk to my people.
she sent me I always
If
feel like
you
such
give
a
him your
creeper.
phone number, Ken, you fucking give it to me too.
Nope. Don't have a
God
phone.
damn it. Don't you start texting with him too. I just want to be loved.
All I have is a phone with an answering machine, and Blair does the outgoing.
So Diana Eden will be consulted in future episodes.
Excellent.
She has already signed off that I am okay to do that with her. So only when there's really out there costumes like the Seven Little Indians and
the Blair birthday one with the Alice in Wonderland party and the one woman band. There's a lot. That's the first one that came to mind.
Yeah, and the one with Fabian and Bobby Rydell, the
62 pickup. 62 pickup.
62 pickup. Yes.
Yeah.
That one. You got to be here for that one too, Ken.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So how about we talk about the music in this episode? There is a distinct artistic choice where whenever we are in the story, they choose to underscore everything pretty much. And there are some odd choices here. The first music that we hear is kind of orchestral. It sounds like Gershwin's Rhapsody in Blue. And I'm not sure if it is the actual Rhapsody in Blue or if it's just some industrial music on a CD that was made to sound like that.
Yeah. It's not Rhapsody in Blue.
It sounds a lot like it though, doesn't it?
I mean, to me, it just sounded like one of those like farcical, like whodunit kind of like underscoring. I think you've mentioned this movie before, Ken, and I wanted to make out with you because nobody's ever knows what movie this is. The Private Eyes with Don Knotts and Tim Conway.
Yeah.
Nobody knows that movie. But I feel like it was like that. Like there's just like this underlying, they for some reason weirdly needed a score. And I don't know why.
Yeah, they're needle drops. They're I think they were going for, it's almost Mickey Mousing. Speaking of Disney, which is that like every single move is, scored, but that is that adds to that cartoonish thing. That's exactly how a cartoon is scored.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it does. And like when Tootie comes in dressed as, we haven't even covered the fact that Blair is at the counter dressed as the mysterious woman in red.
Yeah.
And she's
Film
got
noir, sort of villainous femme fatale.
She's got the gloves on and a big bling diamondy bracelet over the red satiny gloves and a hat with a feather in it. Her hair is up. She's supposed to be the mysterious woman. When Tootie comes in as a pilot, as a female pilot, we get this dun, 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 this big superhero type of music. I remember when I was doing a local show at a local cable company in Bridgewater, Massachusetts, and they had a library of CDs that was just pre-composed, pre-recorded, fully orchestrated music in all different veins and types and styles that they had paid for. And by buying the CDs, you have also paid the rights to use it however you want. It's the predecessor to the iTunes library.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
What we get now with and my listeners hear every week in the extras and the iTunes GarageBand loops. Yes. I think loops is what the kids are calling them now. So this does seem like that's more what they were using. I do not believe they had a composer and a fucking band in the studio.
Absolutely not.
No.
It's library music. Yeah, it's library needle drop music. Absolutely. Like the Warner library of music. In fact, I this episode in general has the feel of what do we have laying around the studio? Like they did not build this diner set for this episode.
Oh, fuck
because
no.
I've seen this diner set in other shows and I'm 99% sure it was reused in Dolly's variety show in 86, 87 the next year, if you recall that show.
Yeah.
Because she had a reoccurring sketch on that show that was a dramatic sketch set in a diner where Dolly played the waitress in the diner and then the guests on the show would come in. And it was never comedy. It was always dramatic. I don't know why, but I'm 99% sure that it is the exact same diner set.
It is very detailed. The painting, like the brushwork of making sure the walls look weathered and all that. It is a very meticulously put together. The counter where we're seeing behind the counter facing the audience, all of the counter, it's stocked. You can see the napkins and the jug of ketchup or whatever. You're right that this seems like there's no fucking way they would have gone to these lengths for just one single bottle episode.
Yeah, I believe this was used in a Family Ties when Alex the post prom episode. I feel like there was one, and there's also a Growing Pains that I feel like has used this set in the Luke Brower years. Like this has popped up. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't recall seeing it anywhere. To me, it just looks like a lot like Mel's Diner. It's it feels like it definitely has a sense of I've been here before. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's what they wanted. So to break up this Charo cul-de-sac, this sidebar that happens in the story with Charo coming in and disrupting Natalie's artistic beautifulness, Natalie pulls out a gun and then Charo does leave and gabbing in Spanish, and God, she just looks fabulous. So then quickly she's like, oh, wait a minute, the gun. So now she's thinking she's going to do some type of a murder mystery.
Right.
And so this is when the characters start talking back and they're like, oh, that sounds stupid to me. Well, someone took the bullets out of the gun. Well, who's the killer? Well, who's the victim? What's the motive? And Natalie's like, I got to figure this out. You got to give me a minute. And Joe pulls out an hourglass and says, okay, but that's all you got.
Yeah.
Boom.
Here's a minute. Again, very Yosemite Sam or something. You
Yeah.
know? Like if Bugs was like, hey, give me a minute. You know, you're like, okay,
pulls out
that's
an
all you
hourglass.
got. Yeah.
I happen to have an hourglass, Doc. Dramatic sting, and that's where we go to commercial. And then after the commercial, we come back to pretty much the same thing in progress. Still, the girls are bored and trying to leave. They're not themselves. In the syndicated version, by the way, they usually chop out 3 minutes. It looks like the majority of what was chopped out of this is when Tootie comes in and sits down and starts telling her tales of adventure, of flying and being in Pago Pago and then rescuing a guy. what you see in the version that's on Daily Motion, there's just less of it. It's a longer story from Tootie.
Thank God.
So when we come back from commercial, we're kind of still doing more of the same. And this is where the girls are acting bored and they're like, we're leaving. And she's like, you can't leave because the bridge is washed out. And that's where Clooney comes in and in the bus driver's uniform. And later there's a point where he just interjects a comment and someone says, do you even need to be here? And Natalie goes, no, but he looks so cute in the uniform.
Yes. And then the tag joke in the episode, which is fast forwarding a little further, gets no laugh from the audience, where Clooney comes in the officer and a gentleman way, which if they could have licensed Love Lift Us Up Where We Belong, they would have used it there. And if Clooney could have lifted her. Sorry, the joke had just walked into it.
Wow.
But he throws his hat and then it comes back to him like a boomerang. Nothing from the audience.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced that there is an audience anymore. I know David likes to say that it's a live audience, but some of the laughs just sound so canned and so like, and perfect in time. It just, I don't know. I'm not convinced that there's a live audience for it.
Well, Paul Provenza, when I had him on, he was still the warm-up comic at this time, and says there was.
Oh, then somebody was falling asleep at the applause button or something.
Yeah, my argument is if they were sweetening the laughs, then why didn't we have a laugh on Clooney throwing the hat and the hat getting thrown back at him? Because it was hilarious. And it's like, why is there no, if they're going to use a laugh track, fucking use it.
Yes.
And, but at the same time, there are other moments where I don't really know. I'm just going by my instinct and observation. And God knows that has been wrong many times throughout my life. And in between these two things, Clooney at one point walks in dressed as a busboy. And he's just like, so you need me to bus any more of the tables? And one of the girls says, wait a minute, were you the bus driver before? And Natalie, to justify this, says to him, and he actually goes to her, yeah, wait a minute. Like he himself is confused. And Natalie says, don't worry, you're moonlighting. He's like, oh, yeah, I'm moonlighting, and then leaves. Blair, Lisa Whelchel, as the mysterious woman, starts adopting a weirder and weirder character walk.
Very much.
And there is some fun physical bits. There's one point where she is confronting Joe, and they're doing this Blair bends forward while Joe bends back.
Yes.
As they proceed across the restaurant. And that's, again, more of the cartoonish craziness.
It's very Wabbit season.
Yeah. And
she's also filing her nails with her gloves on. And I'm not sure that there is a cigarette in her cigarette holder.
Nope, there is not.
There is a pork chop in her hand.
Yeah, when she goes for the gun, there's a pork chop in her hand. And at the beginning, when we first meet Blair, the joke is the mysterious woman. She was looking for something. And Lisa Whelchel is doing fucking amazing physical work.
Yeah.
And she's looking around, like looking under the napkin holder and looking at this. And she picks up her coffee cup and turns it over and is looking at the bottom. And then she asks Natalie to hand her the sugar, and they make a bit out of her putting a fuck ton of sugar in her cup. And then she pretends to drink out of it. And it's like, well, okay, only in the context of this episode can I let you get away with that.
Right.
Because I have a peeve as far as actors with cups that clearly have no liquid in them. So Lisa Whelchel's doing some great physical stuff. In particular, her elegant, mysterious lady walk is getting really broad in the second act of the show. And I am here for it. And then the story starts to evolve in that a letter appears and the mysterious woman is trying to intercept it, but it's actually addressed to the waitress. And it's a rich man has left her $1 million in his will. And then the best reveal, the moment I kind of have to admit, I was surprised by when Joe, the waitress, says, well, you can't shoot me and inherit all the money, since the mysterious woman is obviously the long lost daughter of the millionaire. And she says, why? She says, because I'm a cop. And she says, well, if you're a cop, then who's the waitress? And in comes Mrs. Garrett, also dressed as a waitress, plate of cookies. Hello.
And this is when she's starting to pull back from being in every episode. So
bingo.
Yeah.
And
so it's
I have to admit, I did have that's right. She's still on the show. This isn't, we did have some Mrs. Garrett-less shows last season, and the girls carried them just fine. And this was clearly feeling like one of those shows. And then when Mrs. Garrett came in, that was, for me, it was a genuine surprise. And I'm sorry, Charlotte Rae dressed as the waitress with a tray of cookies. She's just so fucking adorable.
It's perfect.
Adorable. So the gun is handed around back and forth. And then with all of these confessions and the will and Tootie as the pilot being third in line somehow mysteriously. So she wants to shoot the others and she'll inherit the money. But the cop, Joe, was there to protect Mrs. Garrett, the waitress. And then Natalie kind of comes up with the great denouement. The guy forgot to sign the check.
Yeah. Dun, dun, dun. An O. Henry-esque twist.
And all of them, all the characters in the story are like, oh, come the fuck on. Really? Jesus Christ. I'm paraphrasing, but it's like their reaction is, oh, you don't expect us to buy that. Come on. So they basically walk out angry. They hate the ending. They think it's terrible. Tootie doesn't hate it. She's like, I think it was kind of inspired, but yeah. And then that's where Natalie is left alone. And she says, and they who had met by chance went elsewhere to seek their fortunes. The end. Oh, wait a minute. And that's where we get The Officer and a Gentleman, which was a movie from 1982. Full Richard Gere, naval officer uniform. God, he is sexy. Jesus.
It's a good looking dude.
Stick it in Richard Gere. Put me in gear, Richard Gere. I want you to treat my head like a stick shift and move it around until I'm in fifth gear. Richard Gere. I'm sorry.
Okay.
What's the clutch?
We'll show you later, Ken, after we're done with the call. We'll show you later.
I can't share my screen right now, so I can't.
All right. Now, this is the most interesting question. Ken, I'm most curious to hear your answer. Richard Gere or George Clooney?
Clooney.
Matthew?
Gere has no personality.
Yeah. Gere is charm free. I'll give you.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, are we talking George Clooney in 1985 or George? Not that it matters, because it's going to be George Clooney.
Any era of Clooney.
Yeah.
Even today, Clooney. I mean, to me, there's no contest. But people have their opinions. But I'm like, Clooney all the way. Gere was fine. We loved him because he took his clothes off a lot in his movies.
But he has doll eyes, like just dead doll. Like Donald Pleasant should be describing his eyes like he's Michael Myers.
Dead doll eyes.
You're absolutely right.
Yes, you're totally right. You're totally right. And yeah. But how many VHS tapes did we wear out? Like of Breathless, of the movies where you got 3 frames of Richard Gere's peen? Because in the 80s, we got nothing. All your teen comedies showed all the tits, and we gays got nothing.
We got Tom Cruise in All the Right Moves.
Wore out that VHS.
You got Mark Skippy Price in Trick or Treat.
Yeah. The fuckability factor, not as high.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But okay, so Ken, you would totally, if you were given the chance to have sex with Clooney or Richard Gere, you'd pick Clooney also.
If I had to pick, I'd pick Clooney, yeah.
Yeah, cool. All right, that in the words of as Kevin Pollak on his chat show, he'd say, that is the correct answer. So that's how the whole episode ends. And then we do the wonderful thing where just as Clooney leaves and the big flourish of industrial prepaid music winds down, cut to the original waitress. Anything else you need, hon? And then Natalie says, no, you've got one happening place here. And the waitress is like, okay, I'm confused because I don't know what just happened here. And then Natalie grabs her bag, walks past the sign, and then we end as we started with a close-up on the sign, Bernie's Truck Stop Cafe.
It's not the best episode in the season.
No, God, no. No.
This is when we're in those seasons. I say it every week. This where it's just a fun episode. I'm sorry, and like I had no notes because that story is ridiculous. And Natalie writing the characters and everything's so fucking non sequitur and ridiculous. Like it's like trying to take notes on a Warner Brothers cartoon. That is a perfect example. Ken, it's like a Warner Brothers cartoon.
And it makes you go, and it's definitely not intentional, but it puts a lens on the rest of the series where Natalie so desperately wants to be a writer, and you're like, she's not very good. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But it's almost like that's part of it. Like we all know.
Even though she ends up becoming a writer and producer at CNN. That's where Natalie Green ends up in the reunion movie.
Yes, I buy that. Also, she's not a very good writer.
Yeah, well, that's why she ended up. They're like, can we promote you to producer? We think you'd be better producing.
But again, fits in with the reporter thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. It's all connected back to more journalism versus creative writing. And there is definitely a high enjoyability factor when you get to see the actresses do things that they don't normally get to do. In particular, Nancy McKeon playing the waitress and looking as she does with the big teased up hair, no mullet and all that. And definitely Lisa Whelchel is having a blast.
Yeah. Oh yeah. She's chewing the scenery big time.
And knows that she can get away with it, knows that this is the place to do it.
She's tapping into her Mickey Mouse Club years.
So true.
It's anything can happen day here.
Yes. Yeah.
Ken Reid, I am so still starstruck by you, and I just I can't tell you how much I love your podcast. Who is your favorite guest that you've had on?
Oh geez,
because I love how you always drop names. Like
I know I try not to, but it comes up.
It's hilarious. You need to own it. Because you're like friend of the show, dear friend.
Yeah. Oh, Jane Seymour. That's right. Oh, my dear friend Jane Seymour.
Yes, yeah. Jane Seymour was great. Probably Bonnie Hunt. That's the biggest one.
Oh,
you love Bonnie Hunt.
Love her. She's amazing. And just so cool. And yeah, or Cassandra Peterson, amazing. Those are the
Cassandra Peterson.
Cassandra Peterson is Elvira.
Oh yeah, okay.
That was a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. The Damned, obviously, because they're just such a huge influence on my life. Joe Brand was really fun. Oh yes,
Joe Brand was great.
Love her.
I messaged you about that one on Instagram because I was like, how does that feel as a fucking comedian to make Joe Brand laugh?
Yeah,
and you did.
It's ridiculously satisfying.
Oh, she's so fucking fantastic.
She's so
Joe
cool.
Brand.
Yeah.
Well, during the pandemic, Ken, as all of us have, we've had to change our podcasts to being a home-based business. And I've got to say, I still love your shows. It's transitioned, I feel, very smoothly. And now that the pandemic is slowly on the outs and we can start traveling, I'm sure you're really looking forward to getting back to hosting your panels at the cons and visiting some celebrities in LA. Do you have a trip planned?
Hopefully. Yeah, I'm thinking like maybe the end of October again. I'm gonna kind of feel it out and see. So it's it's definitely been good in that it's opened up like a lot of places I've never traveled to.
Mm-hmm.
So I could interview people from there. But yeah, it's I'm hoping like in the fall.
Cool. Well, come to Florida sometime. Come and see us.
Yeah, for sure.
We'd love to have you here. Well, Ken, thank you so much for giving us the time. Happy July 4th, by the way. We're recording this on Independence Day.
Same to you.
So due to a series of fortunate events, because no matter what happens, I love whenever I get you on the show. And let's do this again really, really soon.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Thank you.
All right. We'll talk at you soon. Bye.
You're my favorite person. I love you. What?
Thank you.
And there you have it. That was Ken Reid. Thank you so much to him for being on the show again. If you aren't listening to his excellent podcast, TV Guidance Counselor, you really should be. If you like this show, chances are you're going to like his too. Also, thank you to Diana Eden for giving us a little bit of insight regarding the costuming. Don't forget, her book is still available at Amazon.com, Stars in Their Underwear. I will put the link in the show notes. Next week, we're going to be watching Season 7, Episode 9, Born Too Late. And our guest is going to be the amazingly talented and fun Summer Aiello. You can watch the show ahead of time for free at dailymotion.com and now the Roku channel. I will post the link to both of those in the show notes and on this episode's webpage. That is all for now. Thank you so much for listening to this week's show. And remember, the facts of life are all about you.
Let's Face the Facts was created, produced, written, hosted, and edited by the wonderful David Almeida. Our theme song was beautifully arranged and recorded by Ned Wilkinson. Please visit FaceTheFactsPod.com for supplemental photos and videos, links to social media, and ways that you can support the show. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. This is Matthew Arder saying tune in again next week for another thrilling episode of Let's Face the Facts.